So as I said earlier, my name's Carolyn and I'm with the Insurance Institute, and my role is to share the benefits of working in the property and casualty insurance industry with people who are thinking of joining. And I kind of think I have the best job at the Institute because I really get to help people who are maybe thinking of making a career shift, people who aren't sure exactly what they want to do, and really to help people learn about insurance, which is kind of a secret industry. Not everybody knows the perks of working in the industry. So that's what we get to do is we explain insurance and what it's like to actually work in the industry. Within Canada, we have three different types of insurance. So we have life insurance, health insurance, pretty common. We have social insurance. So those are government assistance programs such as unemployment insurance. And then we have property and casualty insurance. And property and casualty insurance is the space that we're operating in. And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about on the call today. And what do you think property and casualty insurance would cover? If anyone wants to go in the chat, maybe give some ideas of what they think it is. Lana, I know that you know. So let's see, what do we have in the chat? Assets and liabilities, car and home, liability. Yeah, great answer. So property and casualty insurance covers almost everything. So big industry, almost anything that you can think of would probably fall within the property and casualty industry. And I think what is so fun about this is that if you have experience in a certain area, maybe you were working in agriculture before, maybe you worked on a farm. I'm thinking of my sister who has a farm, and my nephews work on the farm. I'm always telling them you would be a great insurance candidate to work in agriculture because you already have some really good knowledge. Maybe you love aviation, you're really into airplanes. You could work in an aviation insurance area. So the cool thing is that if you're interested in something or you have a bit of experience in a certain area, it transfers over to insurance, and you can really be working every day in something that you're passionate about, and also where you get to help people. So I have some stats for you here on the screen, and these are from our demographic research survey that the Insurance Institute conducted back in 2022. So it's about 3 years old now, but I think they're probably still pretty accurate. So we have over 140,000 professionals working across Canada. It's a much larger industry than people realize. And part of that is because it is required in so many different areas. So the government really does regulate that a lot of commercial businesses need to have certain types of insurance. So it makes it a very big industry, and it really supports the Canadian economy in a lot of ways that people don't always realize. It's a very youthful industry, and people are really happy to work in the industry. So we have a very high satisfaction rate. We have a high education level as well. And we'll see when we hear from Ryan that that continues on. So when you're working in the industry, most employers are very supportive of you continuing your education and continuing to develop your skills. And we're going to talk a little bit more about some of those skills later on. So these are some of the roles that we would commonly see within the industry. There's obviously quite a few more, but I've just highlighted some of the more popular ones here and some of the different skills that people who are working in those roles have developed and cultivated through their experience. So what I like to highlight here is that there really is something for everyone. If you have a certain skill set, you're able to continue to develop that, or maybe something that you're really interested in, there's lots of different areas for you. So we conducted an employer survey within the property and casualty industry, and we asked them, what skills are you looking for in an entry-level employee or someone that you're looking to hire? What are some of the skills that you would be looking for? And these are the results that they came back with. So customer service, communication, interpersonal skills, and professionalism. So these are often what we call enabling skills. And there might be the ones that you sometimes forget about, but I think they are so incredibly important for you to be highlighting on your resume. So what you need to be thinking about is how can you showcase that you have developed these skills, and then you're going to sell them to that employer. So Instead of just saying on your resume, I have strong communication skills, think of an example where you're able to, talk about a situation you were working in. And I think, a lot of times I talk to different students and people, and they are saying, oh, well, I've only worked in retail, or I've worked in Tim Hortons. I'm not going to put it on my resume because I don't think it counts. It's not insurance experience, but it absolutely counts. So really making sure that you're thinking about all the skills that you've been able to develop in some of those different types of roles, transferable skills. So, we saw the slide earlier where we looked at all the different types of property and casualty insurance. So you might have someone who was an engineer, maybe an engineer in a different country. You've moved to Canada and you're looking to get started in insurance. That engineering experience is really valuable because you might be specializing in mechanical insurance. So boilers, that's all a very specialized area of insurance as well. So I've got some resources here for you. I will send these out after the session, but I would recommend checking out the Career Connections website, obviously. Hopefully you've all been on there already. We have a job board that you can take a look at as well. Another really great resource that I recommend is the Canadian Underwriter magazine. So this is an online magazine, and you can actually subscribe to have it sent to your email, and it kind of picks out some of the top news stories. So really great way just to learn a little bit more about the industry. Perhaps you are preparing for some job interviews. Good way to get some talking points and show that you're really interested. And Canadian Underwriter also has a job board as well, so I would check that out. The Insurance Institute of Canada has an accelerated competency series that we have developed to help people get up to speed a little bit faster. So, for example, you might be somebody with some of those transferable skills like the communication, relationship development, and you want to get a little bit more insurance skill development. So this is an easy way to do it. The Accelerated Competency Series has 4 modules, and you can actually do the first module for free. So I would definitely check that one out. And then another really great resource is the Insurance Career Connections LinkedIn page. So we've got some really good content there as well. So I would encourage you to take a look. So I think I maybe had one question, and I'll just ask if you can type your question into the chat. As we're going through, if you have any questions, please put them into the chat. We will have some time for questions at the end, but that'll just sort of keep us moving along here because we're on a tight schedule. So if someone had a question, you can enter it into the chat and I'll pick it up afterwards. And in the meantime, we are going to move along and we are going to transfer over and hear from our guest speaker, Lana Jones, CIP. So Lana is a personal insurance team lead with Unica Insurance, and we're very happy to have her join us this evening. So thank you so much, Lana, for sharing your time with us, and I will pass it over to you.
Thank you very much, Carolyn, and good evening, everyone. Who can guess the name of this island? I want to say you're going to get a free trip there, but I don't have that expenditure right now. Just a nice little fun way. Maybe if you know, really, I'm not going to Hawaii. That's a good one. Darn it. Maybe I should have had that trip, right, Carolyn? Ontario, Ryan. It is warm on the island. It is not cold in Toronto, Ontario right now. Way to be precise. Kelly Ann, if you want to join us on camera, that is absolutely correct. It is Barbados. Well done. Woohoo. Let me take a moment to introduce myself, everyone, this evening. It's such a pleasure to be here. I do have a short time period. I'm very passionate about this topic. I will try to keep to the time. But my name is Lana Jones, as Caroline alluded to earlier. I'm a personal insurance team lead with Unica Insurance. A little bit about our company and about myself. Unica is proudly 100% Canadian. Dependably Canadian is in our slogan. We are actually part of Beneva as well, the largest mutual in Canada. I'm not sure if you're following the news. We also just acquired Gore, another large mutual as well within Canada. I've been an insurance ambassador institute, let me think, since 2022. Since pandemic, it's been a blur. I'm not gonna lie. It's like, what year are we? Sometimes I still remember and I have to ask myself. And I've been working at Unica Insurance for about 9.5 years now in several roles. My current role, as it stands today, personal insurance team lead. I took management studies at university. And then a little bit about myself further is like, I do like long walks on the beach. I do. I do. I like being outdoors. And a random fact about myself, I am a trained yoga teacher, practicing as well. Now, that being said, my journey began on the beautiful island of Barbados. And in Barbados and much of the similar to the Caribbean and many places, hospitality is something that's really, it's just not an industry, it's ingrained in the way of life. We welcome, we serve, we create experiences. However, after completed my second degree, was it? Yeah, after I completed my second degree, I found myself at a crossroads. While hospitality was familiar, comfortable, deeply ingrained in my roots, something I felt was missing. I carved out a new challenge, a fresh perspective, a fresh purpose. I was blessed with an opportunity to move across the world from everything I knew in the hospitality field, and I jumped on it. And I thoroughly enjoyed that. And that paved the way for where I am today. Yet I still wanted more. It wasn't enough. And then insurance found me. Or did I find it? That's the old age question, it seems, in our field. Honestly, I'm still debating that one. What I do know is that I jumped headfirst with zero background, no safety net, and a lot of questions. I was so curious. I was so eager. And here's the kicker. I wasn't just switching jobs. I was switching industries, mindsets, even my own perception of what I was capable of. I even took another leap by moving to an entirely new city here in Canada. What's that they say? Go big or go home, eh? And I certainly did that. I remember my first day in insurance like it was yesterday, very vividly at my company. Everyone around me spoke in acronyms. I was hearing things, people were on the phone, they were saying things like PNC, LPV, ACV, and then there was Iris. I spent a good part of my first day just trying to figure out where's the lunchroom, where's the coffee machine. And I also found out that Iris wasn't a person in my office. It was an actual system. So that was super confusing, but a good laugh at the end of the day. I went from ensuring guests were happy at the hotel to explaining deductibles and coverage limits. It was overwhelming at times. But then what I realized is that I had great transferable skills. The thing about it is insurance is very similar to hospitality in a different form, but similar. Insurance is about service, about trust, about showing up when people need you the most. They have a claim, you need to step in. And when that realization clicked in, and once it did, there was no turning back for me. I was like, okay, I found a purpose. I found something passionate. And it was a wild career step and change. Let's be real. Switching careers is like moving to a new country sometimes, where maybe you don't speak the language. And then, thankfully, in my case, the language was the same. However, at first, I thought about it like, well, if I were in a country where I didn't understand the language, you start to become ingrained in the culture. You become you manage yourself where you start to break down communication differences by simple nods and smiles, pretending you understand. And then bit by bit, little by little, you pick up words, you become familiar. You pick up the nuances of this new environment, of this new place. You pick up the rhythm of this place, the rhythm of our industry. And before you know it, like that, you're fluent. And a lot of in the beginning, in my journey, I had to put myself in that mindset. I'm in a learning phase. I need to be like a sponge. I need to absorb. I also need to be fluid, like water, so that I can allow myself to be as flexible and agile as I need to be during this transition of change. My first year, transparently, was filled with moments of doubt because I'm only human. I did have imposter syndrome and many what if nights. What am I doing? Especially when it was winter, I'm like, what did I do? Even though I've grown to love winter, I'm not gonna lie, I have. Not -40. However, I've grown to love winter. But it was also filled with small wins that grounded me. My first small win from the first time I felt confident to explain a coverage without panicking. That was a small win for me. I'm like, yes, Lana, you have this. You got this. To passing my first CAP course. And again, I'm being very vulnerable. My first course, I had to redo it the first time. Because again, I'm only human and we all are. And I do think that there is connection and impact when you can share some vulnerability about your story. And then my final win would be landing into my current role that I am in now. I started as an associate in my company. I worked my way up to a portfolio underwriter, to a senior portfolio underwriter, to a production underwriter, and then to my current role. So why am I sharing this with you? Thing is, if you are in the middle of a career transition, or even just considering one, I want you to know that it is possible. Scary, absolutely. Worth it, without a doubt. Purpose isn't always something you start with. It's something you can grow into. I believe that once you have that passion and that fire inside of you, and when you see you can start to make an impact, then as we say in Barbados, it's no holding back. It's no holding back. Insurance isn't just about numbers, policies, paperwork. It's about protection, your peace of mind. It's about being the person who shows up when life takes an unexpected turn. And if you've ever worked in a hospitality, like myself, maybe it's retail, education, or any other service industry, I'm telling you today, you already have the heart for this. The knowledge will come, but the heart, that's your true foundation, if you ask me. So to those stepping into this new world for the first time, I challenge you, embrace this discomfort, own your learning curve, and most importantly, find aspects of the industry, like Caroline alluded to, really great examples and visuals of where this industry can take you and where it becomes meaningful to you. Because once you do, you won't just be working in insurance. You'll be building a career with purpose. And hey, who knows? Maybe one day you'll be giving a speech similar to mine about how insurance found you. So I ask everyone today again, did insurance find me or did I find it? I still don't know for sure, but I do believe and I feel that at this present time, I'm exactly where I'm meant to be in my journey. And I hope that you take that leap to consider, if you are considering to change your career, to take that leap. Thank you, everyone. I finished a little bit earlier. However, I wanted to be not over. Any questions?
Yeah, we have time for one or two questions for Lana. If you could type them into the chat, that would be appreciated. I have a question for you, Lana, while we're giving people time
Right.
to type in. How did you get your first job in
How did I
insurance?
get my first job? Well, I my first job in insurance, I applied to be in HR,
Okay.
transparently. I did. And I didn't get it, and I felt very deflated. And I knew someone in the company that kind of gave me that little leg up. Hey, why don't you put a resume in here? And then I didn't get in after the first interview. I did feel a little deflated, but I didn't give up. I realized that the industry had so many avenues, and I reapplied once again. And I was interviewed for a claims position. No, I was interviewed for the associate position. And at that time, the boss then, we hit it off right away. And although I had no experience, she believed in me. And I'm really grateful that she did believe in me because that paved the way for where I am today.
That's great. So you kept trying.
I kept trying.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Lana.
Very
Another
welcome.
question is, what drove you to get your CIP?
What drove me to get my CAP is that the foundation of knowledge has always been instilled in myself throughout my family, from my mother to my grandmother back down. Knowledge is power. I wanted to be more confident in having the knowledge to apply it to this field that I was just newly into and exploring. One of the great benefits that drove that factor as well is that at our company, Unica Insurance, they pay for your CAP. So why not get free education?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Great. Okay, well, we'll do a few more questions if you're okay with that. So the next
absolutely.
person, I don't know if you've done this, but would you have any advice for someone who's looking to switch from being a broker to an underwriter?
Well, we do have one person working with us currently who did do the broker side of the world and is now in the underwriting side of the world. And what I would offer to you is that what is your truest sense of what is the truest passion for you switching? If knowledge is what you wanted to seek, because that was part of the person's conversation, they wanted to expand their knowledge in underwriting, and that was a primary reason for them switching, then I would say go for it. Whereas you do lose front face social interactions with the insureds and clients. However, you do have a lot of interaction with other brokers. So it's managing a balancing what means the most to you. Hopefully I answered that the best as I could.
Okay, just one more real quick. What challenge do you like the most about insurance?
Wow, this is a double-edged question. People often believe that insurance is very boring, and I am here to tell you it is not. working in personal insurance, we see a lot of things, whether it's on the property side or the auto side. And I think what challenge I like the most at present is that when you think when you think that something cannot change, it can. And when you think that you can, in terms of property, and whatever wordings you have at your current company you're working in, when you think that maybe we can offer coverage, you could possibly find a way to do it within a specific parameter. So I like the challenge of knowing that we can find a way if there needs to be a way to found.
You have a lot of influence.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so
And
much.
we are going to move along. So you might have heard Lana mention her CIP. Ryan is going to explain what that is and all about licensing and some of the courses. So thank you, Lana. I'm
Thank you
going
so
to
much. Yeah, it was
pass it
lovely being
over.
here. I do have to rush out because I do have an appointment, like I alluded to earlier. However, have a wonderful rest of the afternoon and evening, I should say, everyone. And thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Lana.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Mhm.
Well,
Okay.
hey, everybody.
Hi,
I'm
Ryan.
Ryan. I'm so glad you guys all came tonight. I've been so looking forward to talking to you all. And you guys are also active in the chat, which is awesome. So keep that up, and I'll do my best to keep up with you guys. Again, my name's Ryan Baker. I'm the Customer Relationship Coordinator for the Insurance Institute of Canada, Western Canada Division. And some things I'm going to go over with you guys today are the licensing bodies that are responsible for issuing the licenses that you need to operate in the insurance space. I'm going to cover some courses that'll meet the educational requirements to earn those licenses, as well as some courses that you can just use strategically to increase your earning potential in the insurance industry. So to begin with here, we have the licensing bodies. And you'll notice that I left out Ontario, and that's because you guys are just so special. You get your own slide. You guys are just this much more complicated. So not enough to worry about, but you do need your own slide. Western Canada is very easy. You just need to reach out to the insurance council of your province. Atlantic is a bit more complicated. A couple of the provinces there, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, and Labrador, go through the government website. FCMB for New Brunswick, which actually stands for New Brunswick Financial and Consumer Sector, and the Superintendent of Insurance for PEI. For that one, you're actually going to go to the PEI government website, but your application at the end of the day would go to the Superintendent of Insurance. Now, once you've completed your educational requirements, there are still applicational requirements that need to go to each of these licensing bodies, which is going to involve typically a criminal record check as well as questions about your credit history and your criminal history. And I'll just head on to the next slide there, Carolyn. Okay, so the two roles in insurance that require licensing are an agent or broker, that is the person that sells insurance to the public, or an independent adjuster. So that's not an adjuster that works for an insurance company. They typically do not require licenses, only the independent adjuster, which might work with many insurance companies. Now, the reason for that isn't because these roles are particularly challenging, it's because they're customer facing. So the image of the insurance industry really falls on brokers and adjusters, though mistakes at any level can have an effect on the end consumer. The level one broker license is the minimum requirement to sell insurance and requires the supervision of a level two or three license holder. Now, if you're looking for your breakthrough into the insurance industry, if you're a career changer or somebody fresh out of college, university, or even high school, this level one license is a really good place to start. This is how I got my first role in insurance. And it's just miraculous how doing this one exam can put you in a position where, you know, you were just fighting for interviews and now you're getting calls back for every job you're applying for. You know, it's a very sought after position right now. People really want to hire people that are getting their level one license prior to reaching out to insurance carriers. The level two license, which you can achieve after the level one, can then sell insurance without supervision. So you can take on roles such as producer, where you work for yourself, but you're still not the designated representative of an insurance brokerage. The level three license, there's only one of those per brokerage, and it typically falls on the office manager. So most people do not require that license. And lastly, the adjuster's license, again, only required for independent adjusters. Then we can head on to the next slide.
Brian, I just have a question. I'm not sure everyone will know what an adjuster is.
Yeah, an adjuster settles claims. So they are dealing both with the insurance companies as well as the public. So when somebody totals their car, they're the one that's going to read over the policy conditions to make sure that there was no exclusion in place, to make sure that it is a covered claim. They're going to determine if that was comprehensive or if that was a collision or what that's going to be, what your deductible is, and what the final payout's going to be. And typically, they're the one that is then signing that check over to you at the end of the day.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. So each one of the broker's license can be achieved just by self-study and writing an exam at your province's insurance council, but it can also be achieved. Sorry, I saw a question pop up there, but I'll look at it in a second. It can also be achieved through CIP equivalencies. And a good reason to do that, for a lot of people that don't live in the major urban centers, you can do those exams from home and they have a higher pass rate. The quality of information that goes into these courses is top notch. You know, we put quite a bit of effort into keeping that information very up to date and very accurate. And it results in a significantly higher pass rate. So the level one broker's license can be achieved by finishing the C11 and C130 courses. And then once that is completed, the C131 for the level two and the C132 for the level three. And I'm just going to read John West's comment here. So to work as an adjuster, you need to be licensed, but to be licensed, you need to work as an adjuster. I can complete the exam, but I won't be licensed unless I land a job. How should I address this chicken and egg situation? That is true for a broker as well. You can do the exam, but yes, you're not licensed until you have a sponsor. Isn't level two C130 and C131 DPAC? Yes, that's correct. So if you already have your level one license, you can get credit for the C11, which will mean the C130 and the C131 is remaining. No problem, DPAC.
So someone would do the exam, put on their resume that they've completed the exam, hopefully get that job, and then they can actually get the license. I believe you have a year after writing the exam to get your license.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Correct? Okay.
That's right. Yeah. So you can complete the exam, and that's when you go on your job hunt, and you'll still have. That's exactly right, John. Yeah. Yeah. Put it on your resume, start getting those calls, and then they'll sponsor your exam when you start the job, or sponsor your license. Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay. And so the reason that Ontario gets its own slide is because there's two separate classes of agents and brokers as far as licensing goes. So the OTL license, which stands for Other Than Life, can sell for an agency, which is a company that only sells one company's insurance. A registered insurance broker can sell for multiple companies and can work for a brokerage. So some companies that you might be an agent for would be Desjardins or Cooperators, brokerages, Westland, BrokerLink, WFG, plenty of brokerages out there. Artem, yeah, absolutely. I'll shoot you an email afterwards. You can do the Rebo exam in our office. Absolutely. If you do have your provincial license in one jurisdiction, it doesn't mean that you can sell in another. That's particularly true with Ontario, because even if you want to transfer your license from one province to another or complete your license through equivalencies, you have to complete this RIB Act and Bylaws exam and the Ontario Auto Equivalency exam. Okay. I'll go into a little more depth into the CIP courses. So the Chartered Insurance Professional is the most popular insurance designation and the oldest, and what has made my organization, the Insurance Institute of Canada, so famous. And the reason for that is its wide application. Whether you're a broker, an underwriter, an adjuster, an analyst, or something that's just insurance adjacent, like you are working in the marketing or finance or accounting sector of an insurance company, you're going to find value in the CIP program. And it's likely going to give you the opportunity to look for that next position you're looking for, that position that has a bit better remuneration or a bit more freedom, or less hours, whatever it is you're looking for, more responsibility. Those are the things that can come out of this program. It is a 10-course program. If you're a broker or an adjuster, independent adjuster licensed, you can get that C11 course for free, leaving 9. The first mandatory course is Principle and Practices. It's going to give you the groundwork as well as the language of insurance. Because, like Lana said, if you're new to insurance, it's a totally different jargon that you're not going to be used to, and a lot of letters, like she said, like collision, comprehensive, Section C, AIC, IIC, all that kind of stuff. And that's going to make you more comfortable in that space. And particularly for someone like a broker, your job can be a lot like a translator, right? Because an underwriter speaks fluent insurance, and the customer, they might try, but likely they're going to get a few words wrong or not fully understand what it is they're saying. So you got to be able to bridge that gap for them. The next 3 courses are going to be your technical skills for property, liability, and auto insurance. And then the last one is the capstone course, which is going to tie together everything you learned from the other 9 courses when you get to that point in your CIP. The applied professional courses give you a bit more flexibility depending on the route that you want to go in your career. So there is the broker section, the adjuster section, and the underwriter section. You can specialize in one if you want to get to, say, the management or team lead sort of field in your particular sector, or you could do one of each if you want to, say, have a bit more of an idea how to communicate across the different positions, or you're not sure exactly where you're going to be going. Electives are very, very specialized. We have data management, cyber risk, bodily injury, fraud. We have probably 20 electives. You can get really specific with what it is that you want to do, or they can be replaced entirely with a certificate course if you want to try to earn a certificate at the same time as your CIP. And I'll quickly go into 2 of those certificates. And while you're switching over the slide, I'm just going to read these questions here. CIP completion time period. Typically, anywhere from 2 to 5 years. I was able to do it in 1 year. There is no minimum amount of time. You could do all 10 courses at one time if you wanted to. You could do 1 per semester, and that would take you 3 years in 1 semester. Once you're in a position in the insurance industry, 9 times out of 10, your insurance company is going to pay for these courses. So once you find yourself in that position, capitalize on it. Take as many as you can handle as fast as you can, just in case that opportunity isn't there forever. And Kelly, I did things backwards. I completed 7 CIP courses and now studying to write the Rebo. Yeah, we have that a lot. I think, just last month we probably had 20 CIPs come in and write their Rebos in the Calgary office, just because, Ontario doesn't take a CIP for the Rebo, right? They really like to have control over that. It's good for them. Okay, so the commercial insurance certificate is a 3-course program, and it's targeted towards people that work in personal lines that want to bridge to the commercial lines, or people that work in a junior commercial role that want to work their way up into senior commercial underwriting or senior commercial account management. As it starts to change your focus from a policy to policy basis to a full portfolio basis, which is a new kind of thinking for a personal lines broker or underwriter. And then lastly, we have the risk management certificate, which is our second most popular program. And the reason for that is it's only 3 courses and 3 exams completed through RIMS to get letters after your name. The CRM designation stands for Canadian Risk Manager. And the scope of employment for this designation is very, very broad. There's not an industry in the world that doesn't hire risk managers. And over time, it's becoming more and more popular to hire risk managers specifically rather than parting that role out to, say, the C-suite or to other management. They're really wanting to get people that focus in on this. So they're hiring chief risk officers, risk analysts, and that. And the CRM designation can help you get into that space. Okay.
We are tight on time. So we're going to trim the break and we can take one question.
There's 2 there. You want to choose, Carolyn?
Oh my goodness, there's a few here. There is one question about someone who's doing their CIP, and they're also wondering if they can take one course of the CRM as their elective, which I believe is true.
It's not,
Oh.
unfortunately. Yes. So, but you could take one course of the commercial insurance certificate. So if you take the C70, which is the gateway to commercial, that's the first course for both the commercial insurance certificate and for the CMGA designation. So it kind of bridges you into that. But with the risk management certificate, it's all or nothing. If you do all 3, you get both of your electives covered.
Okay, thank you. We have to move on, unfortunately, but I will share Ryan's contact information after this session, and he's more than happy to chat with you and help you out. And if you're, maybe you're in Ontario or the Atlantic, then we'll make sure that we get you connected with the right person to ask any questions. So thank you so much, Ryan. That was very helpful. I also learned something as well. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Have fun.
Thanks. Okay, we're gonna move on to Shelley. I did promise you a quick break in between, which we've eaten into. So we're gonna cut it down to a 2-minute break. If you need to take a quick trip to the washroom, or you want to get a drink or something, please do that now, and we'll get Shelley's slides queued up while you're gone. Okay, Shelley, I've stopped sharing, so you're welcome to share yours. That's good.
And you can hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Maybe a tad quiet, but
Okay, just one sec.
we can test it. You can tell us how the weather is in Halifax.
The weather in Halifax is unpredictable. So today is not too bad, but it's a little chilly. We had snow yesterday. And tomorrow's supposed to be fairly nice.
Okay, that's good. So hopefully the snow will melt. Yeah, that's great. Okay, everyone can hear you all right. I think I'm actually going deaf. That's the problem. So yes, so we are all good. So we still have one more minute,
Okay.
just in case anyone had stepped away for a second. So we will have time at the end for questions for Shelley. And I will send out some resources and follow-up information as well. So while Shelley is speaking, I will go through and try and answer some of these questions in the chat for you. And then you can always connect with us afterwards if there's anything that you missed, or anything that perhaps you wake up in the middle of the night and you're thinking you have a burning insurance question. We can try and answer that for you as well. So I think that is good for break time. So we will continue on. So I would like to introduce Shelley Elsliger. We're very excited to have her here. I mentioned I've seen her present a few times before, and I thought I was pretty good with LinkedIn. I thought I knew what I was doing, but I learned something new every time. So I'm really excited to see her again this evening, and I'm sure that you're all going to really enjoy her presentation and learn something tonight as well. So I will pass it over to you, Shelley.
Okay, thank you, Carolyn. Thanks for having me. And yeah, I'm so happy to be here tonight to share one of my favorite topics, which is LinkedIn. And I've been working with LinkedIn for like 20 years. And I'm actually a trusted speaker for LinkedIn Canada. So anything that I give you is trusted information, and that's really important. So without further ado, we will start because there's a lot of information to cover, but like Carolyn said, we can take some questions at the end. So just about the agenda, I'm just going to go over a few fundamentals, a few stats. We'll focus on your profile optimization because that's really your key. That's your nucleus of everything happening. You need to have a really good profile. And we'll talk about community building and content and a few job tips at the end. So why LinkedIn matters? Well, first of all, I just want to say that LinkedIn is no longer optional for career development, for online branding, for your to support your resume. It's not a resume, but it's definitely there to support your resume. And even though you think that employers are not necessarily looking at your LinkedIn profile, they are, and it's behind the scenes and you won't know that they are. So even if you think it's not being looked at, it probably actually is. So insurance and finance take up a very big part of LinkedIn. It's number 3, I believe, in terms of industries on LinkedIn. So it takes up a big spot. So to not think that it's important is not doing LinkedIn justice. And I think you are missing out on a lot without really understanding that it's up there with Indeed for job search. And in terms of vetting candidates, 96% of hiring managers look at your LinkedIn profile without you even knowing. So why LinkedIn matters? Well, number 1, for professional branding, online networking. Online networking is networking today. To be honest, like there's no time to, like we used to in the past go out to networking events. We can't do all those networking events. LinkedIn gives us the option to increase our networking events in a very special way, but we can do it globally and we don't have to just focus on what's near us anymore. We can actually put ourselves out there right across the world. And career development, like as I said, employers vet candidates from LinkedIn, and even if you don't think they're looking, they are. So just a few stats before we move on. There's over 1 billion users worldwide. 90 million are students or recent grads. 80% are signed, over 80% of jobs are signed through networking, and LinkedIn is predominantly a networking site. You have to think about LinkedIn from a networking lens in order to be 100% effective on LinkedIn. 6 people are hired every minute, 55 million plus companies on LinkedIn. 44% of LinkedIn users make more than 75K per year. 8 people are hired on LinkedIn per minute. Well, actually, it's the second one. It's 8 people, not 6. It's 8. It's 8. And the insurance industry grows a new LinkedIn member every 6.6 minutes. So I just got the 8 people just before I came on. So forgot to get rid of the first one, but it's actually 8 people are hired on LinkedIn per minute. So LinkedIn is a networking tool. And most people do not see LinkedIn as that, but when you don't see LinkedIn as a networking tool, you miss out on what you have to do to be successful on LinkedIn. So there are lots of things you can do on LinkedIn. You can research, you can job search, you can connect, you can build community, but predominantly everything comes from being a good networker. So LinkedIn works with a likability meter. So we talk about AI a lot. LinkedIn has a very heavy duty algorithm, and it's based on your level of being a really good networker, online networker. So these are the things that are considered help LinkedIn's algorithm consider you to be a good networker and then therefore support your profile. So the more that you engage on LinkedIn and the more you understand from a networking point of view, the more LinkedIn will support your profile and your presence on LinkedIn. So they look at level of engagement. I put that number 1 because that is really the icing on the cake. Then we get to the cake, but it's actually really the icing. Relevancy, how relevant are you based on the profile and based on the information you've given? How consistent are you? So some people think they have to be on LinkedIn 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I can guarantee that's not the case. You just have to be consistent. And I think that the more you do it and the more you are on LinkedIn and coming from the right perspective, you will want to be on there more. But there's a book out there called LinkedIn in 15 minutes a day. So if you're effective on LinkedIn, you can actually use those 15 minutes really to your advantage, and you don't have to be on there any more than that. But I mean, I encourage people to make LinkedIn a part of your life. See, LinkedIn is part of my life. It's part of what I do on a daily basis. So I show up, I have a presence, and therefore LinkedIn supports my profile. And that can happen to everybody. Yes, I'm a trainer, but that can happen to everybody. You just have to have presence and commitment and engagement. Profile optimization, if there are certain parts of your profile missing, it's going to be a negative in the likability meter. Community building, it's all about networking and continuously building, and thought leadership. So what are you putting out there for content? So building your profile is part of the game, of the LinkedIn game, but actually providing content is another part of the LinkedIn game, and they go together and they actually partner with each other. So we're going to get into optimizing your profile because that is key. Everything that LinkedIn, so your profile is your foundation. It's like the roots of a tree. If you don't have the roots, the tree is not going to grow. So if you don't have a really good profile, you're not going to be able to job search effectively. You're not going to be able to connect effectively. You're not going to be able to have LinkedIn support your profile in an advantageous way for you. So you have to think about those roots, and the roots is with your profile, building it effectively and successfully. So it comes down to building a career story, and we all have a place on LinkedIn. LinkedIn was made to have a space for everybody. And so there's a few things that are important to what you're trying to achieve. And number 1 is your professional narrative. What is your story? What is your history? What are you coming in with? Number 2, your key achievements along the way. And for example, you may be going into insurance, or maybe you started in insurance, but there are key elements along the way that will help that journey to be more successful for you. So as Lana was talking about it, as Carolyn was talking about it, there's transferable skills, there's transferable experiences that are going to matter on LinkedIn. So what are some of the key achievements, not only what key achievements now, but key achievements from the past? Because that's going to tell a lot about you and your personality. Communicate your unique value. So you may not know it specifically now, and it's going to change, but the more that you have a unique value proposition or a unique value that you can sell, the easier it is for LinkedIn to position you for that unique value. And I'll talk more a little bit about that, but finding your niche and finding where you want to go, it may not be now, but knowing that you have to do that is going to be very important for your story and how LinkedIn supports your story on as part of the tool and as part of you being there. So there are 4 parts of the LinkedIn algorithm that you need to have. And if any one of those parts are missing, it reduces your searchability on LinkedIn. So there are 4. The tagline, the skills section, the about section, and the experience section. So a lot of people will leave out their about section. They won't write about themselves, their story, which is 2,600 characters. They'll just leave it out. And that's the most important part of the LinkedIn algorithm for your profile and for your presence on LinkedIn. So if you leave that about section out, then LinkedIn is not going to support your profile because it does not have enough information to put you into a category or an industry, because it needs that information. So these 4 parts are not optional. There are 4 parts that are you have to fill in order for LinkedIn to get the information that it needs. So so here's my profile. It's called my top fold, which is really important because your top fold is actually where your story begins. So everybody has a top fold, but it's up to us to customize it. So you'll see my top fold, my background photo is customized. I have my profile photo. I have my tagline. I have where I live. I have, now it shows me my followers, it shows me my connections, and there are other things that are there. This is where people can find your contact information. This is where people can, this is where people find out where your story begins. This is setting your viewers up for the story that you're going to give. So it's really important that this part of your profile be done in a way that sets you up for success and also sets your story up to be read. Okay. So, and if you come to the top where I have linkedin.com in SL Fligger, that's my URL. That URL is customized and it should be customized. If you have not customized your URL, for example, there's a lot of random letters or random numbers, I'm going to show you how to customize that URL. You can do that in two seconds, but it's really important because this is what goes on your resume. Your resume of 2025 should have your LinkedIn customized URL. So an employer looking at your resume can pop up and can go directly to your LinkedIn profile. And a lot of the applicant tracking systems today are so advanced that they can pop up if you have your URL on your resume, they can pop up not only your resume, but your LinkedIn profile at the same time. And this is something that you want them to be able to do. So I'm going to show you that about customizing your URL because it's the first part of the search algorithm. So here we go. If your URL is not customized, you'll see on the right-hand side of your LinkedIn profile, it'll say edit your custom URL. If you don't do it today, right now, that's fine. You can go back. It's really simple to do, but you're going to look for this. When you put your profile into edit mode, for example, at home, you'll see this come up, edit your custom URL. And it's really easy. This is where you're going to hit the little edit icon, and this is where you're going to put in your first and last name. Many years ago, there were not enough characters to put Shelley Elsfleger because I had a pretty long name. So I put S. Elsfleger. But if I were to do it today, I would put Shelley Elsfleger because my name is not common. But I don't want to change it now because it's on all of my materials, my resume, my business card. And so I don't like to change my URL too often, but you can. It's just you want to make sure that your name is there because it's more professional. And Google, in order for Google to speak with this URL, it has to be customized in order for it to speak with your custom profile. So now, if you have sent out your profile with the URL not customized, don't worry. They can still click on it and it will get to your profile. But just remember that you want to be professional. So you want to have it customized because it will also speak to Google. Not everybody goes searching for people on LinkedIn. They'll put a name in Google. And if your name is customized and you have your profile built, it will become the first searchable item on Google. So you want to make sure that you're doing that. So this can be done at any time. It's very easy. The background. So many people are still using the background, the blue and gray background. This is called the LinkedIn default life. So you don't want to be a default, right? Nobody wants to be a default on LinkedIn. You want to customize your background photo just like I have. Now, I'm sure that many people know canva.com. It's very popular. Even the free version of Canva, if you go to canva.com, and I have it at the bottom of the slide, it will take you to Canva. And if you put in LinkedIn background, it will take you to so many LinkedIn backgrounds that you can customize and make your own. So even the one that I have on my background, I use Canva. I found a template that gave me 4 windows, and I just put in the pictures that I wanted because I wanted more of a visual background. But I'm going to show you some examples. But your background photo is the first thing that people see when they come to your profile. You want to connect it to industry. If you're going into insurance or if you're in insurance, you want to connect your background photo in a way that connects you to industry, connects you to the field of insurance, because that's the first thing they see. So it's that first impression, very important. So if you have something like this, or if you see something like this, this is what not to do on LinkedIn, because they're nice, it makes me want to travel, but it does not do anything for your profile or for your story. So a lot of people, without recognizing the impact, is that they put just a picture with no connection. But remember, LinkedIn is the only professional professional social media tool. So you want to make sure that everything that you do comes from a professional lens, including your background photo. So I'm going to show you some examples. So here are some examples. They're all from Canva, because I think Canva, I always try to go to the freebies first and then the paid. But even if you put in background banners through AI, there are some really neat ones that'll come up. Like if you do a search on Google, but I'll use Canva because Canva and LinkedIn have a partnership, and they already have the right pixels, the right, they do everything right. So you just have to take the one that you're interested in, or the one that speaks to you for your own story, and then do whatever you want with it. Put in your own photo, put in your own text, put in whatever you want to put in. So here are 2 examples. And I'll show you 2 more. This is an old student of mine, Johnny. Johnny asked if he could be in my presentation. And he's been in my presentation for many years now. But Johnny does a good job. He doesn't put any text. What's great about Johnny is he's really showing how he is with people and how he is with his team, just by what he's done in his profile photo, in his background photo. So you want to make sure that your background photo is giving a message, whether it's connecting you to insurance, whether it's showcasing the kind of person you are, but really connecting you to that professional career that you want to get into, or that you're already into and want to sell. So really, really important. And so many people miss out on this important part of visual real estate. So really, really important. The next thing we're going to talk about is the headline, because if you look at LinkedIn, you'll see all kinds of headlines like insurance professional, or student, or Bachelor of Commerce student, or member, and you have no other context to it. You have 220 characters, and this LinkedIn headline is one part of the LinkedIn search algorithm. So if you go back to the one that I showed you of mine, you can see that I have my 220 characters maxed out. And I've really thought about it, what I want to put in there, because I want this to be a powerful driver for LinkedIn to pick up on what I'm doing, what I offer, what my services are, and how they're going to help me to get more reach. If LinkedIn supports you, you get more reach. If LinkedIn doesn't support you, you do not get more reach. You get limited reach. So the headline is really important. So when you're thinking about that type of headline, you want to think about what is your value proposition. And many students will say to me, well, I don't know my proposition yet. You know what you're strong in. You know what characteristics you have. And you know what you can offer. A tagline can always be changed. But if you are applying for positions or internships, you want to make sure that it is doing the work that it has to do to get you recognized. Because if LinkedIn is done well, it should be working for you even when you're not on LinkedIn. It should be picking up your profile. It should be, it's constantly working. That's how LinkedIn works. The third thing is your specialty niche. This is where you want to put in insurance. And if you have an idea of the type of insurance you want to get into, you can put that in as well. And credibility markers. Is there something that you're involved in or something that you want to showcase? I mean, and it doesn't, that little section doesn't have to be necessarily related to insurance. It may be something that you want to add in just to show something about your personality. I mean, I've changed it over the years. I'm a fire walker. I'm certainly a pickleballer now. Like I change it. I'm a anti-bullying advocate. I do talks on that all the time. So there may be something that you want to add in. Any memberships that you belong to is really important. So let's just see a couple of examples, and you can get the, you can get the kind of get the swing of things by just like taking a look at these examples. And everybody does their tagline differently. There is no one tagline fits all. The only thing is you want to make sure that you are, again, connecting to your story, connecting to your industry, and making sure that it is showing your value. So let's just do a few examples. Insurance professional in training, driven to simplify risk for clients and build a career in claims, compliance, or adjusting, ICP. Aspiring underwriter, data-driven thinker, building our future in risk analysis and strategic decision-making. Insurance enthusiast, Bachelor of Commerce, helping people rebuild after loss, future claims professional in training. Insurance professional, exploring innovation, ethics, and equity in the future of insurance and risk management. Customer-focused problem solver, launching a career in insurance sales, policy service, and client retention. So you see there are a variety of examples, and they all work differently depending on where you are. Are you a student? Are you presently studying in insurance? Are you in insurance and hoping to get that next opportunity? Like, it just depends. But it's as simple as removing one or two words and putting in another one or two words in order to make it work for you. So, but all of these work. They're all examples of really strong taglines because it shows worth and value, and it even shows the kind of what you solve. This is what I want to say. It shows what you solve or what you will solve in the future. So you're already building your story by putting it out there. Even if you're not in insurance yet, you're already building your story. And this is where you're going to build community. You're going to build thought leadership. You're going to build your presence on LinkedIn related to insurance. And LinkedIn will start early with this as long as you're early in building your story. So these are just some examples, but really good examples. And again, none of them are, some of them you see some connection, but all of them are different. Your about section. So your about section is 2,600 characters. In 2023, the end of 2023, LinkedIn decided to add 600 more characters to the about section. And that was because it was so incredibly important for people going to your profile to find out more about you. So crafting your about section, and I'm going to show you an example, but things you have to remember about your about section is that you have to start strong. When somebody goes to your profile, they only see the first 3 lines before they click on your profile. So you don't want to be boring. You want to write something that's catchy. Personal touch, right in the first person. So sometimes you will see some examples on LinkedIn of somebody writing in the third person. Like, for example, I'm Shelley and I'm talking about Shelley. This is just a big mistake. So I should not be talking about Shelley in the third person. This is my profile. I'm talking about Shelley as if I'm talking to you in a networking event. You have to remember, you wouldn't remember what I said at the beginning. You always have to be thinking about LinkedIn as a networking event or a networking opportunity. So if I were to go someplace in real time and go to a networking event and say, Shelley's here now, she's really happy to meet you, that wouldn't work. I don't think I'd stay very long. I don't think people would actually talk to me very long. So you always put it in the context of being in an actual networking event. Be personal. You're talking to the people that are viewing your profile. You're talking to them through your profile. It's just another way to do things. It's just another way to network. Call to action at the end if you want somebody to be free to reach out to you, or if they're in insurance and you'd love to have a virtual coffee, you can say something along those lines. And clear structure. Putting things in one big paragraph does not work on LinkedIn. The algorithm needs breathing space, they need white space, and just for readability, really important. So let's just see an example. So I'll kind of take a look. I may not read everything, but I'm going to kind of take a look and break it up and show you what's important. So just the entry line. I'm eager to grow professionally in the insurance industry, where strategy, service, and security come together to protect what matters most. So just instead of saying something like something catchy, something that they're not expecting. As a proud member of the Insurance Institute of Canada, I'm building a strong foundation in risk management, underwriting, claims handling, and client relations. My academic path has sharpened my analytical thinking, communication skills, and ethical decision-making. Essential qualities I know are critical in a dynamic and evolving insurance landscape. Now, I have words here like that, analytical thinking, communication skills, and ethical decision-making, because they are critical to insurance. I don't have words in there that are not. And what I mean by that is that I'm going to talk about buzzwords. And I think Carolyn mentioned that earlier on the resume, or something about using buzzwords and not actually saying action items to back it up. It's really important that if you throw out words, and I'm going to say passionate, for example, many people are passionate, but then they don't say why, that they don't make the passion come alive. Passionate is a word that's overused. So you don't want to use overused words, especially when they're not words that you are not necessarily elaborating on. If you are using these words, make sure that you elaborate on them, whether it's in your about section or whether it's in your experience section. Make sure that if you are saying something like analytical thinking in your about section, that somewhere on your profile, you're backing that up with actual action items. Back everything up. Otherwise, they're not as meaningful on LinkedIn. So just think about those, that in same respect you would think about for your resume. So here's just a little intro. I'm just not learning about insurance, but immersing myself in it. I actually participate in institute events and professional development, opportunities to stay ahead of industry trends such as digital transformation, data-driven decision-making, and customer-centric innovation. Whether it's property and casualty, life, or commercial insurance, I'm eager to contribute to a field that empowers people, supports community, and creates stability in times of uncertainty. I'm especially interested in exploring roles in underwriting, claims, or insurance brokerage. where I can use my problem-solving mindset and people-first approach to make a real impact. So you can see this person, the goal of that person's about section is to be picked up by an employer, to be seen as somebody who could be introduced to a potential employer. They're looking for a job. They're looking to make that next move. So they're writing their about section in a way not only to brand themselves, but also to really connect with employers or people that are in decision making. That's why it's built like this. So it's just an example. Then key skills and interests. And then the reason for this is because the about section is the biggest part of the LinkedIn search algorithm. So you want to have keywords in there that would be picked up. That's why having a key skills and interests could work. Then I'm actively seeking internship or entry-level opportunities where I can apply my skills, grow under strong mentorship, and add value to a mission-driven team. Let's connect if you're open, and then it gets into the call to action. So this is just one example. Just like the tagline, there is no one about section fits all, but you always have to think about the about section as giving you value and supporting your goals. And if you see, it's more like in a storytelling way. It's more conversational. It's not just bullet points. It's not just, it's more in a conversational way, in a way that you might, like, even if we were at a networking event, you know, tell me a little bit about yourself. Oh, I see that you're at this insurance event. Maybe you can just tell me a little bit about your background and what brings you here today. You're not going to go into bullet form at an event. You're going to go into more of a conversational tone and a conversational way of connecting with people. So now you have to take that and transfer that and transform that online. And this is an example of that. So avoid buzzwords. Again, it's not that you can't use them. You can use them, just don't overuse them. And if you are using them, back them up somewhere in your profile. So these are just some of the ones that have been used, and it's just because they are filler words. Buzzwords are filler words. Nobody is going to search for passionate. Nobody. And don't put passionate as a skill, by the way. Just FYI, don't put it as a skill. Yeah, because it's not. So nobody is going, when you're thinking about your profile, you're thinking mainly searchable words. So if you do put passionate in there as an example, you're just putting it in there as one time, maybe because there's something that you really want to say, and that's the word that really explains it. Perfect. But just don't overuse it. And don't use it without backing it up in your profile. The experience section. Oh, the experience section, we're going to think about like a cupcake. So we all have a favorite cupcake when we go to that cupcake store. And if we went to a cupcake store and all we saw were a bunch of all the bottoms of different cupcakes, I think the experience would be very different. But no, we get to go into a cupcake store and we get to choose that cupcake because it's got so many great things. Like got chocolate chips, it got a cherry on top, it got cream, it got anything. So when you're thinking about your experience section, think about it as the cupcake and think about order. So it's not like it used to be a long time ago, and neither are resumes. When you're talking about your experience section, you think about it in a way that's going to allow you to put your most important and most valuable assets on top. You're going to go from the top to the bottom, and the top is going to be what you choose to put on top, not what somebody else might choose to put on top. Somebody who's experienced in the industry might want to put their roles and responsibilities first. Somebody might want to put their memberships first. Somebody might want to put their just things that they've participated in or what they know in terms of software first, related to the insurance industry. But some people may want to put their highlights first. So really, really important that before you do your experience section on LinkedIn, that you do like kind of like take a Word document and go down and say, what do I want them to see first? And then go down from there. So we'll see an example. So here's one for an insurance industry, insurance intern. So it's always nice to start off with a paragraph just to create presence, to create where you're coming from. So if you were an insurance intern somewhere, or even if you worked at Starbucks. So I'm going to use the Starbucks because I used to use the Starbucks example. Starbucks, usually when you speak to people at Starbucks, they want to create an experience. So when I was working with somebody who was in customer service at Starbucks, they started their paragraph by talking about what customer service really meant to them. So here we have insurance interns starting out, really putting them, creating a presence, creating what they want to kind of like summarize about what they've done or what they're doing, or and want to really position it by that first paragraph. Then if you notice, they started off with the accomplishments and impact. So you can create within your experience section, you can create your own sections that speak to you. So if you take a look at the example, the first one is accomplishments and impact. And then they really focus on what they did in their internships or in their prior work experience. Well, in this case, for the internship. So what they did, they really focused on it, but what really created accomplishment and impact? Technology and tools, because this can be a real seller. This can be a real seller, like Guidewire. I know Guidewire now. And so knowing Guidewire, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. So if you know it, it can be a selling point. What am I recognized for? This is a little snippet of somebody's recommendation. They took a recommendation, took a little snippet, and put it in their experience section. And then finally, roles and responsibilities is at the end. Now, somebody might want to put roles and responsibilities at the top, and that's okay too. Again, you have to, there's no one experience section fits all. It's really about what you want to showcase first and what you feel will be valuable to the people that you want to bring to your profile, that you want to come to your profile. So really, it's all about that. So this is just an example, but not a typical example, because this person started off with accomplishments and impact and then put roles and responsibilities at the end. Okay. Education and training. So education is no longer just about degrees. It's really about education and any training that you have. So I listed everything there, but under your education, so your education is an anchor link. So if you belong to anything where you are taking courses, put it under the education, and especially any training that's specific that you could talk about or relate to. Really, really important. And within that, there's a description section. And this is where you can talk about any of the courses that you've taken, any of the events that you've gone to, anything that you feel is going to, any volunteer work you may have done. It's really about showcasing what you've done to be part of this industry, or what you've done in your past and in your present to really show that you're building your skills. Because one of the things now is continuous learning. You will see that come up a lot. It's actually even in skills that you can put in skills. You can put in continuous learning. You just can't put in passionate, but you can put in continuous learning. So one way to show that is that you're always updating, and it doesn't have, like I said, it could be training, it can be micro credentials, it can be anything that you want to add. So then there's this little alumni tool that not a lot of people know about. So I went to the Insurance Institute of Canada and I pulled up their page on LinkedIn, and I highlighted where the alumni tool is. And even though I'm not showcasing building your network yet, I want you to remember that this alumni tool is a way to build your network in insurance. And when you click on the alumni tool, and a lot of people don't know about it, this is what happens. You get to see where people work, where they live, and there's other filters as well. And so you'll see that we have Intact, Cooperators, Rowanisa, Viva, TD, Desjardins, ICBC, and the list goes on. So it's really interesting because anybody who is connected and they have put it on their profile and they've connected their profile with that page will pop up. This is an excellent way to start building your network in insurance. The more that LinkedIn sees your network built with people in the insurance world, the more that they will support and connect your profile with the insurance world, as long as the other things are done as well, including your profile. But this is a great way, and so many people have they didn't even know this tool existed. So, but this tool has been around since the beginning of LinkedIn, because when LinkedIn started, it was all about connections and from where you work and from where you went to school. It was all about that. That was where LinkedIn started. So we don't want to forget about that. So just a little snapshot. So make sure you connect with that and you can play around with that little tool later. The featured section is part of the LinkedIn About section. It's a new section that they started about 3 or 4 years ago. This is what they call your online portfolio tool. So this is, if you don't have it on your profile yet, you can add it. The thing is that when you're in edit mode on LinkedIn, it will continuously ask you to add. So you have to go manually and add this feature if you haven't. But this is a great way to start your portfolio. And this can be made up of any links, of any things that you could put your course that you took, you can put certificate. Do not put your resume because anybody can download it. So this is one of my security things that I tell people. If somebody wants your resume, they will ask for it, or you can use it to apply jobs. But if you put it in this part of your LinkedIn profile, anybody can download it. And you want to make sure that not anybody can download your resume. It's not about anybody downloading your resume. It's about the right people downloading your resume. So in this part, but any certificates that you have, anything that you want, like if you wrote a really great article on LinkedIn, you can add the link to that so it doesn't go away and it stays there. Yeah, it's really about your portfolio. So if you've done anything that you want to feature, it's a really cool way. If you've been to an event, you can put a picture up of that event. It's just to show your involvement and show how you are increasing your knowledge and your network and just being in that space and being active about being in that space. So the skills section is the fourth part of the LinkedIn algorithm. Remember, really, really important. The skills section is about relevant keywords. You can now add up to 100. I tend to still stick to about 50 to 60 skills. And why is that I don't water it down. So don't water your skills down. Make sure that they are related to where you want to go. If they no longer serve you, then don't have them there because it will sway your profile. The top 3 skills are the most important. So they should be hard skills related to your industry. They should be searchable skills. So for example, your top 3 should not be critical thinking or organizational or anything like that. It should be 3 top skills that are searchable. So insurance would be number 1. So insurance, and then maybe there's a specific insurance that you're going into. That might be number 2, and number 3 could be something that they're looking for. Job postings on LinkedIn will help you with this section because this section is taken from job postings. So if you go through the job postings and you find keywords, this will help you. If you have those skills, put them in, but don't don't try to get 100. 100 skills is not, it's not about the amount of skills you have. It's about the actual connection to the industry that actually helps you. But they did give you 100, but don't water things down. Keep them relevant. So even if you have 50, 50's great. Even if, but you don't want to have less than 25. So 25 is your minimum, and you can go up to 100, but just be careful, because I see a lot of watered down skills, or a lot of skills from the past. So for example, I was a teacher for many years. I can use teaching because it can be relevant, but I don't put in, like, for example, English second language, because I'm not doing that anymore and it's no longer relevant. And LinkedIn might pick it up, and I don't want to be searched for ESL anymore. So just remember, this is what, and go through the list all the time. And if you put a new skill in there, it may not be your top 3. So you have to go physically and position it. You can do that in the skills section and put it back, put the one that you want back on top. So every time you add a new skill and you don't want it to be a top, LinkedIn will automatically put it on top. So you want to go back. And endorsements, like, you can ask people to give you endorsements, but you also help people with endorsements. And endorsements, just, you need 99 endorsements for your skill to be recognized on LinkedIn as to be an expert in that skill. So it takes a while. Everything on LinkedIn takes a while. It's not something that's overnight. But what I do with endorsements is that if I'm working someplace, or I'm taking a course with people, or I've gotten to know people, or at an event, I will basically say, let's help each other out and endorse each other for this skill. That's how you have to do it. Or you have to endorse people in order for people to endorse you. So it's really important. Social reciprocity on LinkedIn is key, because that's what we do. Really good networkers give to others. They think about others and how they can help others. So that's really important. So here are the top skills for insurance professionals according to LinkedIn. These are the top. So you'll have everything from the top skills. Like, for example, you see the top 1, 2, 3, 4 are hard skills. And then the other ones get into more softer skills, but still needed in the industry. So you don't want you want your top 3 to be hard skills, just like here, except for communication skills, but that's so important that it does top the second one. But you'll see problem solving and team collaboration. They're important, they're necessary, and attention to detail, but they go lower because you need to have searchable words, and nobody's going to search attention to detail. So you want them there, you just don't want them to take the space. So credibility and community building. So we've now just gone over, just remember that it's really important to build your profile. It is the key to everything. And when we're talking about credibility and community, it will come back to your profile. Everything that you do, searching for jobs, if your profile lacks, your searchability will lack. So just everything connects back to that. So just remember. Recommendations are key on LinkedIn. There's no specific number of recommendations you have, but this is what you want to do if you have a recommendation. You go to somebody's profile, you hit more, and it'll take you down, and it's number 4 where it says request a recommendation. Now, LinkedIn will always put in something to substitute. They will never leave anything open, just like your background photo. They'll put in the blue and gray background. They'll always have a default there, but it's really important that you customize everything when you're able to. This is one of those opportunities. So recommendations, like what people say about you, is really important on LinkedIn. So, think about those people that you've worked with, and it doesn't have to be a boss. It just has to be somebody who's credible and somebody who can talk about an experience they've had with you in a good way, in a positive way. I like to diversify my recommendations, so I like people to see different ways that, that I've worked with different people. So if I've given a LinkedIn training, maybe I've worked with somebody in a company, maybe I have a client, Like I like to diversify that. So, and again, doesn't all happen overnight, but aim for 3. That'll be one of the goals I'm giving you, is aim for 3 people that can be a recommendation for you. But you're going to guide them. So here's an example. When you get to that recommendation request, you're going to basically guide them. LinkedIn gives you a description of what you want to say. And so you really want to personalize it and tell that person, you know, we worked on we worked at this event together, or we worked on this task together, or this, and I would really like it if you could talk about this. And then at the end, you can say, I will also be happy, more than happy to return a favor for you. I could give a recommendation on your profile or something else. You know, this is just an example, but it's really important that you tell them what you want on your recommendation request. So one of my clients said to me, Shelley, I'm really happy. Somebody gave me a recommendation. And I said, what did they say? They said, awesome. I'm awesome. And I said, that's great. But now you're going to go back and you're going to ask them why you're so awesome. And then you're going to change it. And then we're talking. So yes, it's great to get that. She was really excited, but nobody, unfortunately, is going to be searching awesome. So again, everything that you do, you're always thinking, what can I do to make sure that the words that are being used are going to work for me? So this is where you really want them to be specific of the experience that they had with you. Aim for the 500 club, and everything that I'm telling you is to help you with your algorithm on LinkedIn, is to help you with your presence. So the 500, getting 500 recommendations, no, 500 recommendations, 500 connections, sorry, 500 connections is always your goal. At 500 connections, your status changes internally on LinkedIn. So always be open to connecting. You do not have to connect with everybody. I always go through a rigorous idea of who I want to connect with. I don't connect with everybody, but I'm certainly open to connecting with people that I don't know, because I don't go to a networking event to connect with people I know. They know me already. I go to a networking event to connect with people I don't know, so that they can get to know me and I can get to know them, and they can get to know the people, and I can get to know the people that they know, because that's going to offer me more opportunities. The people I already know, if I want, I can reach out to them directly, but I don't know what I don't know. So that's what I'm really after. So the power in second connections is probably the most important on LinkedIn. So, it's not about everybody. If you go to a profile, really get in the habit of going to a profile. And if it doesn't look good or it doesn't feel good, then it probably isn't good. Use your intuition. If somebody goes on and they don't have everything, but or they reach out to you and you don't have any connections in common, I would say no. I always look for connections in common as one of my major drivers, because now if you're just starting out, you're not going to have that, but find ways to go through it. But I always connect, like if I go to an event in person, you can guarantee by the next day I've connected with all of them at that event, because that's the best way. Or if you're in a class together, online or offline, and you can tell people, let's link in together, because you don't know where they're going to end up. If you're taking a class in an insurance course together and you're getting to know each other, you don't know where they're going to go. There may be opportunities. It's the power of people. Really, really important. So aim for 500. This is the goal, and do it in 50s. Aim for 50 and 50 and 50. And then when you get to 500, you don't stop. But 500 is your key to changing your status as a networker on LinkedIn. So this is what happens. It shows 500 plus, so it shows your credibility, because not everybody get 500. There's a certain greatness about having a big community, especially insurance. And you get 10 times more the network reach and 45% more profile views, because LinkedIn is going to support your profile. So just really important to keep that in mind. And again, these are all future goals. So connection building tips. So now for free users, LinkedIn only allows you 10 personalized connection requests per month. That's why you have to become a little bit more savvy. So that's why I'm saying, like, if you meet somebody, just tell them, I'm going to send you a connection request. Do become savvy so that those 10 personalized connection requests you're really using for people that you want to reach out to, and you need that area to customize in order to connect with them and make it like professional. But if any other way, just say, I'm going to connect with you and I'm going to send you a connection request. And then there's no expectations there, but just really important. We have to become more savvy. It used to be free, but now it isn't. LinkedIn's a business at the end of the day. So unfortunately, there's only 10 personalized connection requests. So make sure you use them to your advantage. These are the top insurance industry hashtags on LinkedIn. So again, you can use them, you can follow them, you can use them if you're developing content. So if you're developing content and with insurance, for example, and you're using that to be a thought leader, you can use some of these strategically. Usually 3 is what LinkedIn wants you to use, 3 industry hashtags if you are writing something related to insurance. They're asking you to use 3. Well, they're not asking you, they're telling you if you do, it's to your advantage. So these are just some of the top hashtags on LinkedIn. Create diverse content. So content development is a part of LinkedIn. It always has been. So you don't have to rush into developing. You can repost something, but if you repost, you need to comment on it. You need to comment at least 5 words. If you just repost something, so for example, Career Connections write something, there's a nice write up there and you really like it and you want to share it. Make sure you put your commentary before you share it. It's not about the share that's important. It's about your comment that's important, not the share. The share is not what makes it important. It's the comment, because it's gotten you to engage. But there are all kinds of things that you can do when you're starting out on LinkedIn. Everybody, these are all common: milestones, persuasive posts, what you've learned. You know, I came in early because I wanted to see what people were saying in the questions or making comments, because that's really interesting for me. So I already know that a lot of people that are on this call today, that are on the, you know, in this presentation, know what they can share and have opportunities to share already. And I mean, really good shares. So these are the examples. But when you write something, make sure that you ask people to do something or think of something or give their feedback or give their opinion, because LinkedIn likes that, because it's engagement. Okay. So this is what makes content tips engaging, shareable, unique, relevant, compelling, professionally connected, and solve something, speak to your audience, not AI generated. You can use AI. I love AI, but AI, when you use it, they can sniff it out easily. It's like so sniffable. They can tell that it's been AI generated. Always make anything AI generated your own and get your own voice, because AI is not coming with you when you go to an event or when you have to go to an interview. So just make sure that it's real. And I can't say it enough. I could do a whole course on AI stuff, but that'll be another time. But really, really important to just make sure that what you're living on LinkedIn is your own. Because this is what happens when you have relevant content. So I just wanted to show this quickly, that it does go through a system when you write content on LinkedIn. It writes content creation. They have an algorithm that picks whether it's good or it's bad. If it's good or it's semi-good, it'll go through and then it'll go to a human editor that has been hired to actually look at the content. They will decide, is it good, move forward? Is it not good? Will they filter it? And it'll go into what we call an empty folder. So the whole idea is to get into the point of creating things that get engagement, because when people engage, that means that they like it, and therefore LinkedIn likes it. So this kind of, it's just to show you the system of how it goes through. So you're always trying to get an audience, and an audience that engages with it. So the power of a comment, So these are the things that you can do on LinkedIn. And the most important thing is a comment, because a comment is a conversation trigger. We can, now don't get me wrong, everybody's going to say, oh my gosh, I can't like things anymore. You can like things, of course, but the power of a comment, so when you're reposting something or when you're liking something, if you can comment on it, maybe not all the time because you don't have time, but when you can comment on something, it will up your algorithm. It will up your strength on LinkedIn. So I'm just saying that the comment is the biggest driver that you can use to help position you on LinkedIn. Now, there are lots of things you can do. Just make sure that you understand that if you never comment on a post and you share, some people love to repost, and I love to repost. But if I don't write about that repost or give my own commentary, I'm not actually doing anything really for anybody, or not anything that's going to help LinkedIn see that I'm valuable. It's like, you know, I go to a networking event and I see two people that I want to introduce to each other. And I go up and I just take the two of them and I put them together and I don't say anything and I walk off. And I leave them to their own devices. But if I had said, Carolyn, this is Kelly, Kelly, this is Carolyn, and I said a little bit about Kelly and I said a little bit about Carolyn, imagine what that would be like. That's equivalent to a comment, helping, supporting that engagement. So just a little bit, that's going to be quick on smart job tips and then we're finished. But I just wanted to say about job tips. Again, if you do not have a built profile, the LinkedIn jobs will be tough because everything comes down to your profile. So if you're searching for jobs, you need to have a really built profile. Some of the other things that you can do is turn on job alerts, set your preferences. The easy apply, when you hit easy apply, that means that they're using your LinkedIn profile first. They're basically telling you they're using your LinkedIn profile first and your resume will be second. But they're using your LinkedIn profile first. Tailor your profile to match your job descriptions, which I just mentioned, and follow companies engage, and then use the search option. So I just did a little search before because I wanted to show you an example. Instead of always going to LinkedIn jobs, you have the power of search and Boolean search. So if you were to go in your search and you were to put in insurance, Canada, hiring, that's what I did. I put insurance, Canada, hiring. And I got a whole pile of people that are hiring. And so this was one of them, insurance advisor, home and auto, and it was Monique. The great thing about this is that when you go through the search, you will come up with the hiring manager most of the time, and they are using their profile to tell you and to give you a hint that they are open to conversation. Whereas LinkedIn jobs, often you won't be able to see the person responsible for that. But if somebody is taking their time out to actually post on LinkedIn and tell from their own profile, there's a lot of really good information and triggers you can get pulled from there. So basically, Monique is she's putting it out there and she's talking about it. She put the ad. So I would say, wow, I want to write down Monique's name and I might have what Monique is looking for. And I just might have to, if my profile is built, set up some kind of conversation with Monique. And this is the beauty of using the search. And a lot of people don't, because they use LinkedIn jobs and they don't think about just going to the search. Use both, because some people actually use search so that you connect, so that they become more personal. And I just want to say one thing is that HR is becoming more personable. I'm doing a lot of workshops for HR so that they can learn how to connect more with the people that they want to connect with. And that would be the people that they want to connect with in jobs. So just a little bit on that. I had to finish with that. I had to put that in because I think it's really important to note, because a lot of people don't do it. So key takeaways, consistent engagement, strategic networking, valuable content creation, and an optimized profile. These 4 things are what helps LinkedIn to help you and for you to really be successful and have a presence on LinkedIn, to be supported by LinkedIn and to actually be found for whatever that is, for opportunities, for jobs, whatever that is, that there's a two-way street and that you're there and you have a presence and your profile matters. So right now there's 1 billion worldwide users, over 22 million in Canada. This is a networking event you don't want to miss out on. And I'm really happy you could join me today. And, you know, LinkedIn works if you work it, and you're worth it.